I'm Scott L. Miller, and I'm living in Nicaragua. Today is the 16th of June, 2023, and today we're going to be covering the topic of getting out and getting involved in your local activities where you're living, wherever it is, but especially here in Nicaragua. We're going to see you right after the bump. If you watched yesterday's episode, you know that I went out and recorded the color guard or municipal troop competition that they have here in Leon, and it was really interesting and fun and something completely different that if you were talking about like what would you go out and do if you were living in Nicaragua, no one would ever come up with, oh, go to a color guard competition, and yet it is a really important cultural thing and something really interesting for the community and a big thing that goes on here, whether it's parades or marching bands or color guards or whatever. The whole thing was really interesting, and we even went out in the rain, and it was cool, right? So we didn't get a lot of people watching yesterday's video. If you're coming to this one, you haven't watched that one, please go give it a view when this one's done, just because it wasn't the most popular, but I think it shows, like, I talk over the competition at the end, and it just shows a little bit of what goes on in Leon, so I think it's worth checking out. But this whole week being, it's a big week here. It's the 44th anniversary of the liberation of Leon. And so every year, like this week-long kind of celebration goes on, and because of that, there is a big event more or less every night. And I didn't get to manage to go to everyone every night. Like tonight, I did not get to go anywhere because we had D&D here at the house, and so we're playing, and we're just I couldn't go out. But it was I think just the symphony tonight, which would have been cool. I did want to go, but I didn't have a chance to go see it. So, but I did my best, or I'm going to be doing my best to record several of the events going on this week because it's really cool and interesting. We're going to get out and show you guys some different stuff. But I wanted to talk a little bit about this, partially because I'm behind on the videos and I had to do one at the house today. We do have a couple things coming up pretty soon in the next few days. We have a house tour we're going to show of a house that is for rent out in Las Pinitas on the beach. And we're going to be doing, I'm told, we're going to be going up to El Sauce and doing some recording up there. Very excited about that because I've never been up there. I've been relatively close, but I've never been to there. And then we've got some events going on in town. So I'm hoping for some variety in the content this week. And you will notice we did a very minor rebrand. We've been calling it the Scott Allen Miller vlog for the last year or two. Originally it was the sheep guarding llama vlog for historic reasons that I've explained in other videos. Then we called it the Scott Allen Miller vlog because I was vlogging every day. And really the show has just kind of taken on its life of its own, really about the life here in Nicaragua. And so we're kind of now calling it Scott Allen Miller is Living in Nicaragua, which is now, if you see the name, it's changed. You said Scott Allen Miller vlog, now it says Scott Allen Miller is Living in Nicaragua, and we're going to run with that for a while and see how that does. And maybe that's why we've had a big drop in viewership today. I don't know. We're going to find out, but go out and support the show and show us some love with that. So with all that said, one of the things I think when you move to a new place, and I mean this kind of is also true if you grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, and that's the only place you've ever lived, this remains true. Or if you're picking up and moving to Rio de Janeiro, or you've decided to move to Chiang Mai in Thailand, or you decide wherever you're living, and certainly if you're coming here to Nicaragua, something to really consider is taking some time, just a little bit of time, taking a little bit of effort, and finding ways to find out what's going on in your local community and actually going out and doing that. And I know that sounds like the simplest thing, and it's like, well, obviously, but nobody does it. This is a thing that nobody does. I have been out to some of these events the last few nights, and I am the only expat that is going out to any of these, which it's great because there's thousands of Nicaraguans piling into the square for events. Like, this stuff is popular. People are actually going out. So the color guard thing only had a few hundred people. That was still a surprising number for what it was. But for other things, we're seeing these giant numbers of people turning out to go to these events, and it's so cool that these big community events are going on, that people are into it, that people take time to go out and do things in their community. But as an expat, as a traveler, as someone who's showing up in these places, yeah, I think there's a lot lost if you're not taking the time to participate in this. Even if it's not something that a lot of locals do, take the time and get out there and participate, because it's interesting. it's something different. It's often really cheap. Here, it's free. Like, all these things are free. It's amazingly cultural and educational. It helps with integrating with society and getting to know people and getting known in the community. There's like so many things that are great about it. And I'm not saying it's like your first day and that's the thing you should focus on. No, of course not. There's a lot of other things that are more important. But, you know, we've been here for 2.5 years. And I'm starting just more and more over time. I'm watching InTour, the Department of Tourism, more and more, and they post things, and I'm starting to talk to people, and they post things, and I'm paying attention to where bands are playing, and just all these things. We're going out to private events. We're going out to government, like Department of Tourism events, big orchestrated city events, national events, those different things, and partially it's just really cool because it's something different. And you know, you have to kind of put on your I'm going to do something different face, right? I'm not trying to recreate an activity I would do back home. I'm trying to do something completely different. I'm trying to branch out and explore and expand my own world, and that's fantastic. But you also need to I think over time, at least for me, I've noticed that at first, had I done some of these things years ago, I would have said, well, I don't know, it's not really for me. And now some of the events we're going to, I'm like, yeah, like I'm getting into it. I'm starting to understand some cultural things that are going on. I'm understanding some historic references. I'm understanding like the importance of different things that I'm seeing. So over time, it's becoming more and more interesting. The same events that I saw before. Now, one of the things that's going on this week is the Ballet Folklorico. That's going to be coming up in a couple days. And we saw, I don't know if it was the same one, but a Ballet Folklorico in Granada in 2019 when I was here with Rachel. And I remember for a couple of reasons it being really interesting. One is we were out doing stuff in the city, and we noticed this huge stage being set up on the pedestrian way, kind of east of the main square, a ways. And we're like, what are they doing? This looks like a rock concert. And we were all really interested, and we had to drive around it a number of times. And Alan will remember that this was going on. And then that night, Rachel and I were out walking around the city, and we stumbled on this event. And it didn't have anywhere near the number of people that we were seeing here in Leon, but it had a good number of people. And they were watching these traditional folk dances on a big stage. And in the US or Canada, coming from communities, these would be tiny local events. It would be totally background news. No one would think anything of it. People would be like, that's so boring. And here, the same thing is like, wow, people make an effort to come out. They really get into it. This really is their folk history and their local culture. It's not just, oh, look at this little historic thing that we used to do. No, this is still part of society, and it's really neat. And Rachel was crying. She was so into this that she was like, this is so moving and important and beautiful. And I liked it. I wasn't that into it, but she was really into it. And I'm like, wow, this is really a cool thing. And they're doing stuff like that all week now. And now I'm starting to understand much more of the importance of these events and how they fit in. Not that I didn't think they were important, but I didn't know what the important was. Like, I didn't know what they're representing and how. And so being here and getting to do those things, these things become increasingly meaningful and really special and neat. And they're such an easy, such a fun, such a effective way to get out of your house, give you a reason to put something on the calendar, go out to a place you might not go normally, whether it's the Central Square or like the one last night. We had to go find Plaza San Sebastian. I'm not saying you should be an explorer necessarily. I'm trying to put things on the map when I can. But we went to a place and did an event we would never normally do. Did a thing. We found out that there's like this big color guard municipal troops competition that they do around the country. That's really interesting. Or the Ipico that we did last week with the horses, the parades, and now we know that's a circuit, and there's the rodeo, all of that. Like, those are things that are big and bring out society and people talk about and people get excited about, and they're really important parts of Nicaraguan society, and it's really easy. I mean, exceptionally easy. As an expat, it's almost easy as a local to miss that these things are happening. Well, I didn't go into the city that day. I didn't pay attention to the advertising. I didn't realize how important it was. Whatever, and you can completely bypass it, right? I know countless people who were sitting out on the beach, had no idea the Ipicos were going on. We've been here, this is our third Ipico. It's the first time that we made it to one. right? And it's like, I don't know if it's worth going. Now that we've been, it's like, I'm not going to miss that in the future. It's a big event. It's fun to film. It's fun to go out and hang out all day and have the bands and the drinking and the events and the music, like just all the stuff. Like, it's fun. It's cool. I'll try doing it in different ways next time, right? This time I walk the parade route. Next time maybe I'll get in the front of one of the boxes and film from that. We'll try some different things. But it was really fun, and there's a lot of opportunity for just getting out and doing things, meeting new people, because it's a great way. It's from going out and listening to bands all the time. We've become a part of a big community of people who love to go out, and we know each other really well. We've made really good friends that way, and friends that we would never have come across in other circles. We wouldn't have gotten to know these people even if we'd have been here for 10 years, if we weren't going out and doing these things. And going out to some of the events this week, like I'm filming, so I'm drawing a little bit more attention to myself, but it's harder for me to talk to people. So you have to kind of keep this in perspective. Because I'm filming, people make an effort of coming up and saying hi and being like, oh, have you tried filming this or that, or are you aware this thing's tomorrow? And so that helps with just getting to know that things are going on. But also, if I wasn't filming and I was sitting in the crowd, it'd be really easy to turn and talk to the people next to me and carry on a conversation and not worry about interrupting the film or getting distracted while I'm trying to operate a camera or whatever. So either case can work pretty well. But just by going out, I keep meeting people. Almost every time I go out, I meet somebody, whether it's just casually getting introduced to someone or running into the same people over and over again or running into friends, and it helps establish relationships. And I think it's an easily overlooked activity, this kind of just getting involved in traditional community activities. And I don't mean traditional like old, I mean traditional like the things that Nicaraguans do that expats don't. It's so easy to find out about these things. And like my kids, I say, oh, I'm going to go to the ballet, I'm going to go to a parade, I'm going to go, and they're just like, no interest. And so many expats are like that they don't know what they're missing. They don't know why they would want to go. The thing, if you were in the United States, you may not do that thing. Like, how many people are into parades in the U.S.? Now, I was in marching band in the U.S. Like, I did that professionally. I did it in high school. I did it for my community. So I was very involved in it. I made some albums with marching bands. I marched internationally. So I took it pretty seriously as those things go. And that was an interesting part of my life. And it was a neat cultural experience. I'm not saying that marching bands are the things you have to do, but for me, growing up in small town America, marching band was a big way for me to connect with my community and be a part of thing and make lots of new friends and get to know people. And here, that still exists. And I'm not saying you should go out and march and play trumpet in the band, but going out and watching the parades and taking a moment to put yourself into society, going out and being like, I'm making an effort to do Nicaraguan things. I'm not expecting Nicaragua to conform to me. I'm conforming to Nicaragua, or wherever you are, right? Go out and participate a little bit. And I'm not saying do that all the time. I'm not saying make your life based around what other people do, but there's a happy medium. And I think way too many people, locals included, miss these events because they think they just don't sound that interesting, or they're not the kind of things you see on TV and think, oh, I got to go to that. But there's so many people who go out and so many people who enjoy it, and such an opportunity to learn more about what is out there, to find things you may really enjoy that you didn't realize, and to just be a much more participant component of your community. And that can do so much for helping you connect with and fall in love with and integrate with and be happy with wherever it is you end up moving, wherever it is you end up living. Take the moment to be a part of that place. It is almost guaranteed to be something that you are going to be rewarded by one way or another, beyond just enjoying the activity. Like, are you gonna sit home and just watch some TV? Why? Go out and do something fun. If you need to watch TV, come home and watch it afterwards, right? But maybe take a moment and go watch whatever event's going on in the square. Is there a food festival? Go try the food. Is there a music festival? Go do the music. Last year, we went to the Corn Festival in Matagalpa. It was fun. Was it huge? No. If you just said the Corn Festival, people would be like, why? Well, it gave me a reason to go to Matagalpa. It gave me a reason to go check out the artisans selling stuff on the streets. It gave me a reason to walk around and try a bunch of different corn foods that you don't normally eat unless you're really making an effort. And I found some that I really like, and I like going out and doing it. It gave me a chance to talk to some new people, and it gave me, for me, a really good chance to go out and film things that I would otherwise be missing. But I keep finding that when I go to these things, I'm never regretting it. I'm never going and going, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. I always go with a, okay, I'm going to do it, but I can't figure out why it's going to be fun. And by the time I'm done, I'm like, that was cool. I'm glad I did something different. It got me out. It got me fresh air. I met people. I saw things. I learned more. I'm more connected with Nicaragua, my local community, whatever. It's been great. I recommend at least give it a try a number of times. Don't just give it one try. Get out there and put in that little bit of effort. I think you will be rewarded, especially if you're moving to some place like Nicaragua. There is so much going on. So often it's free. So often it's easy. Why pass it up? Why sit home? Why just have a beer when you could go out and do something totally unique? And if nothing else, write home and tell people, hey, I went to this cool parade. I went to this color guard competition. I went to this concert. It was neat and different. Let me tell you about it. It gives you an interesting talking point at the absolute minimum. Thanks for joining me. Please remember to like and subscribe. If you'd like to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee at the link I'll put above, buymeacoffee.com/ScottAllenMiller. That comes directly to me and helps pay for all the things that are required to make this channel possible. If you're looking for help in relocation, anything like that, you can shoot us an email, info@relocatenicaragua.com. We'd love to just provide some guidance on how you can relocate, help you find a house, help you with moving, whatever it is you need. Shoot us an email there. Much appreciated. Remember to share on social media, tell your friends about the show, and I will see all of you tomorrow.